West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
Another one. West Indies 0, Australia 3. This time, I had the pleasure of watching a West Indies game actually in the Caribbean itself. Not live, but actually just at home in the Caribbean. Often when these games start at, 7 o'clock, I think it was 6 o'clock Jamaican time, so 7 o'clock in St. Kitts, right? Normally, what that means in the UK is the games are starting at like midnight or 1 in the morning, and you don't want to stay up, it's long, etc. But this was prime time viewing for me, and I wish I hadn't even bothered. For those who don't know anything about the game, just to recap the scorecard, West Indies lost the toss again. I think it's the 6th toss in a row that they've lost. And of course, they had to do what they hate doing, which is batting first. They made 214 for 4 in their allocation of 20 overs. It always seemed like it was going to be at least 30 to 40 runs short. If you're in the Caribbean Cricket Podcast Discord group, you'll confirm that I said in the Discord group that for West Indies to win, they probably needed 300. And that sounds obviously like a massive exaggeration, but I didn't really mean it as a joke. One of the reasons why I said 300 is because I was so wary of our bowling attack not being able to defend something, and particularly at Warner Park. Those of you who are CPL aficionados or know anything proper about West Indies cricket will know that Warner Park is tiny. The ball sails out of the ground so easily in Warner Park. And unless you've got an elite bowling lineup, and even if you've got an elite bowling lineup, you're still going to be treated like a runs factory at Warner Park. Now, when you consider the fact that West Indies have one of the weaker T20 bowling lineups out of the 4 member nations, they were always going to need something in the region of 250 plus. I still don't think they would have won with 250. I think for our bowling attack to defend something, I mean, I said 300, but at the bare minimum, we would have needed 270. And I'm not even sure they would have been able to defend that either. So anyways, West Indies batted first, like I say, made 214 for 4. Now, that was led at the top by Brandon King, who made 62 from 36, another good knock for Brandon. Strike rate of 172. Shea Hope, obviously open with Brandon as well, because Evan Lewis continues to be out. He's got an injured wrist. Shea made 102 not out from 57 balls, a strike rate of 179. We'll come back to Shea in a minute. But after that, nothing really happened. Shimron Hetmeyer 9 from 6, got out in the usual way that he tends to get out. Nearly chopped on, hit a 6, then hold out straight after that. It sounds harsh when I say it, but we've seen it so often from Shimron now that you could almost, without me even telling you what happened for Shimron's dismissal, you probably could already have predicted what happened, right? Shafane Rutherford came in. The score was when Rutherford came in, the score was 162 for 2 with 5.5 overs to go. And that kind of tells you the tale of just how much we struggled at the back end. I think the stat that was given on TV was we made 49 runs in the last 5 overs. So just a tad under 9, just a tad under 10 and over in the back 5. Given the pitch we were playing on, that was never going to be good enough. Rutherford's innings was wretched. He made 12 from 13 before he was then run out. And let's pause and focus on that. Rutherford's run out, and I'm trying to pick my words carefully here. I haven't seen any of the post-match interviews yet. I think it was Shea who was interviewed post-match. I don't know if anybody asked him the question about it. I don't know if Darren Sammy has commented on it. But I can only comment based on what I saw on the TV. His run out looked unprofessional. It stank of a bad attitude. Now, I am only willing to excuse Shafane Rutherford if he deliberately ran himself out because he knew he was struggling to put bat on ball, he wasn't timing it properly, and he looked scratchy. I'm only going to excuse him if it was a deliberate attempt to get out because he wasn't really doing anything. However, no one has confirmed that. So until someone confirms that's the reason, I am going to treat it at face value with what I saw. Rutherford, from what I can remember, drove the ball down to mid-off. The run was on. It was a tight run, but the run was on. My issue is this: he didn't even try to run. Someone, please, who's watching this, get in the comments below and tell me what on earth you think he was doing. He didn't even attempt to try and run quickly. He jogged a few steps, gave up, not gave up like Raheem Cornwall gave up. When Raheem Cornwall gave up, it's because Raheem, with all due respect, can't move quick enough to have made that run that everyone knows about in CPL. When Raheem gave up, that's because he can't move quick enough, right? Shafane didn't even try to move. He jogged 1, 2, 3 steps, then just gave up. This is a cricketer who's supposed to be at the peak of his game and who is a fit cricketer in terms of visibly looks fit, certainly compared to someone like a Raheem Cornwall. So what on earth was he doing? It stank of unprofessionalism. It stank of a bad attitude, and it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable, and I'm surprised that nothing has been said about it publicly. Or maybe they've had a grips up and a tear up in the changing room. But you see, the fourth T20, he can't play. He can't play. The video that I did after the second T20, when I was saying who's going to get removed, who's going to get dropped from the side now that Dre's gone, and how do you balance the side out? I've got my answer. Shafane can't play. Whether he should play on merit, whether he should play on ability, if I'm in charge of that team after that run out that I saw yesterday, he can't play the next game, because I don't know what that is. And if you do let him play the next game, you're giving a green signal to unprofessionalism. It's not professional. And I'm hoping it was dealt with. I'm hoping Sammy or whoever else is responsible spoke some hard words to him, because what on earth was that? I've got some more to say on the matter, but true say I don't know the reasoning yet. I feel like I shouldn't go there. I feel like I shouldn't go there. But what I will say is, when people question if West Indies cricketers are using West Indies as a platform for other things, I look at something like that yesterday and say, so what on earth's going on here? What on earth is really going on here? Get in the comments below, people, because I need to know what that was yesterday. Anyway, so Rutherford got out. So when Rutherford got out now, the score was 193 for 3 with 10 balls to go. And obviously in those last 10 balls, mainly thanks to the 2 boundaries that Romario Shepherd hit right at I think in the final 2 balls. So in the final 10 balls, we basically hit, let me just count it, we hit 21 runs. Okay. Now, bear in mind, in the final 5 overs, we hit 49. Nearly half of those came in the last 10 balls of the innings, which really shows you how much the innings stalled from the 14th over to pretty much the last 1.5 overs. And some people said to me, it's Shai Hope's fault, because Shai Hope struggled. Once Shai got into the 90s, he was juking the ball and wasn't really, or didn't appear to be, either he wasn't able to hit out and was struggling, or he was playing for the century. Personally, I don't think he was playing for the century. I actually think that sometimes, right, and it's okay, people, to give credit to the bowling team. If you go back and watch the final 5 overs, yes, Rutherford struggled. Yes, Hetmeyer got himself out. Yes, Hope was struggling to time the ball suddenly once he got into the latter 90s, right? But if you actually look at and who was after that, actually, then Powell came in. He was gone after 5 balls, right? If you go back and look at the back end bowling, the death overs from the Australians, they have a, check this out. Go back and watch Sean Abbott and Nathan Ellis's overs at the back end, right? If you watch their overs at the back end, they really put together a good set of back end overs. And I think they tied the West Indian batters down. So, like, for example, to Rutherford, they continually went full and wide. Rutherford couldn't time it. Even to Holt, full and wide. They hit their lengths, they hit their lines exactly where they wanted to go in the back end. And until the last 2 fours from Romario, I think there was 1 4 from a couple 4s maybe from Rodman as well, really and truly there weren't many bad balls bowled at the back end. Now, now consider this. Let me turn the light on one sec. Oh, let's turn the light off. That made it worse. Now consider this, right? Sean Abbott and Nathan Ellis, I'm sure some Australian fans and some world cricket fans are going to get in the comments below and say you don't know what you're talking about. But now consider this, right? West Indies have no death bowlers in the region. None. I'm sure someone's going to say to me, Mash, what about this person? What about that person? But in essence, we have no death bowlers in the region. Australia have come to the Caribbean with their T20 squad where they've got Nathan Ellis who can bowl at the death. I think Abbott bowled in the back end. And that's before we count Mitchell Starc, before we count Pat Cummins or any of their other bowlers who aren't even here, who could also come and bowl at the back end as well, Hazelwood, etc. Right? So they have 5 bowlers, right, who you could potentially. What am I doing here? They have 5 bowlers who they could potentially use at the back end, right? West Indies have none. So when I talk to people about the paucity of options that the West Indies have in T20 cricket and the difference between them and the top sides, you saw it in all of its starkness yesterday. And that's not to run interference for Darren Sammy. That's not to run interference for the West Indies cricket team, but it is to point out the stark disparity between top T20 nations and us. We have 0 death bowlers. And when I say 0, I mean 0 that you can rely on and trust. Australia have 5 guys they could turn to. 3 of them aren't even here at the death. Do you understand what we're talking about here? So anyways, there was some slight criticism of Shea. Should Shea have accelerated a bit more once he got into the 90s? Yes, quite possibly. But personally, I find it very hard in an innings where it was 214 for 4, where at the halfway stage when Brandon King got out, it was 125 for 1 after 11.4 overs. I find it very hard to pin that on Shea Hope. He did his job. He got a century, his maiden T20 century. He led from the front, strike rate of 179. On my list of things that went wrong in that game, Shea's not even in the top 7 things that went wrong. So I don't think it's valid. It's a critique for sure. It's a critique, but I don't think it even registers in the top critiques from that game. Instead, we should be saying, well done, Shea Hope, you got your maiden T20 century. You led from the front. Maybe we now need to think about where we put Shea Hope in the batting order, etc. That's the only real thing to think about when we look at Shea Hope and his contribution to the match. So like I say, we made 214. We made 214 for 4. And I think at the halfway stage, in fact, let me find my tweet from last night. At the halfway stage at 214 for 4, this is what I wrote. Let me just find it. I said, here we go. I said, West Indies end on 214 for 4, led by Shea Hope's 102 not out from 57 balls and Brandon King's 62 at the top. They've posted something that they can at least try and defend. However, this is Warner Park and the ball is travelling. West Indies bowling is their weakness. You sense a lot of this rests on how well Akil and Multi bowl. Seems pretty fair enough to me. And so said, so done. The weakness that is the bowling came up top trumps. But here's the biggest joke of it all. Just before Multi bowled the 10th over, arguably West Indies were on top of the game. In fact, let me find the match situation. When Cam Green got out, Australia were 87 for 4, right? Cam Green got out in the 9th over, last ball of the 9th over, right? Listen again, people. At the end of the 9th over, Australia were 87 for 4, behind the run rate. And at that point, Glenn Maxwell had been run out. Holder had got Marsh to nick off, and Shepherd had taken 2. Josh Inglis hold out deep square, and I can't remember if Cam Green's one was a big bat up and catch, which Holt caught behind the stumps, right? So 87 for 4 at the end of the 9th over. Now listen to this. This is what then happened next. 10th over, Gudakesh Multi bowls it, goes for 28 runs. At the end of the 10th over, when Gudakesh got laying down for 28, I wrote this. Where is it? Where's the tweet? Here we go. Tim David takes Multi apart in the 10th over, and that could be the match losing over. Australia are now 120 for 4. From that point on, I called it and I said, we've lost this match already. That you could sense the momentum change at the end of that 10th over. Multi went for 28, game done at that point. David was then in. You knew you knew at that point that Tim David was going to go after everything, right? Next over, they bring back Akil Hussain. Now, I've seen a couple people say to me, why did they go for spin? At that point in the match, right, Akil Hussain had bowled 3 overs, none for 19, right? He was our most economical bowler, and he had looked like the only one who had a modicum really of, and Romario, I think at that point, had a modicum level of control, right? Now, he then bowled the 11th over and went for 20 runs. Again, Tim David, the architect of the destruction. Now, at that point, and now there's been massive debate on it on either side of the coin. This is my take on it. So at that point now, they've bowled 2 overs and it's gone for 48 runs in 2 overs. Australia are already going to win from that point as far as I'm concerned. They then have to decide who's going to bowl the 12th. Now, the problem is sometimes when you look back at matches is so many people talk with hindsight. So I'm just going to talk with what I was saying as I was watching it live. People who are in the Caribbean Cricket Podcast Discord will attest to this because I said it in the live. Prior to even Multi coming on, or was it after Multi's over, I said we have a problem here because Judea Blades is on debut, the left-arm seamer from Barbados, the young left-arm seamer from Barbados. He's on debut. He's a swing bowler. He's bowled the first over of the match. He's gone for 16. Tim David has just lain down 28 runs and then done a 20 run over as well, right? At that point, Shai Hope has a decision to make. Do you go back to Judea Blades, who's only bowled 1? Remember, they've got to think about balancing the overs because I think at that point, Holder had bowled 2, Romario Shepherd, I think, had bowled 2, and your other seamer has only bowled 1. To all intents and purposes, the bowler you're supposed to go to in that scenario is Judea Blades, but he's young and he's on debut. If you bring back Holder and Shepherd at that point, you run the risk of having to bowl their overs out before you even get to the death. And you're trying to bring back some level of control. I think they said we can't, this is my view on it. I think the thing was we can't go to Blades because we can't put the young Ute in that position. 48 overs have just been laying down. He's young. He's on debut. This isn't the time to expose him to what looks like a Tim David on rampage. So I think they turned to Roston Chase because in the back of their mind, they were probably thinking Roston's going to have to bowl at a few of Judea Blades' allocation. Remember, as a captain, you're thinking about this going down to the wire. You're not thinking about this match could be over by the 16th over. You're thinking about balancing your numbers. Remember, they already before the match know who's supposed to be bowling at the death. So if it's as simple as bringing back Jason Holder and bringing back Romario Shepherd, you run the risk of not them balancing your overs out at the death, right? So 12th over now, I don't necessarily agree, but I get why they then went to Chase because they have to fill Judea Blades' allocation. And Chase is an experienced pro. You're trying to bring back some level of semblance of control to the match. Yes, they were saying on TV, this is Tim David's matchup. I think the first ball, Tim David drives it down the ground, doesn't take the single because it's a favourable matchup for him. Fine, cool. Let's criticize Hope. Let's criticize Sammy for that move, whoever made the decision. But then I prefer to focus on Roston because I think Roston lost his head. I think Roston completely lost his head. Roston is an experienced, defensive, limited overs bowler. Go back and watch the over. It's not just about whether it was a favourable matchup for Tim David. Look at how Roston bowled that over. Tried to get through it quickly, didn't pause, didn't kind of gather himself, fired some down the leg side, which even I would have hit for 1. Never mind Tim David knocking it out the ground for 6. And he completely lost all semblance of control and composure. And that over went for 23 runs. So between the 10th and the 12th over, West Indies gave up 71 runs. Game done. There and then. Moti, Akil, Chase, game done. It's easy in hindsight to say Hope should have done this, he should have done that. But at the end of the day, right, you have 3 experienced bowlers. Moti, Akil, Chase. They went for 71 runs. If you lot ever wanted an example of everything that I was speaking about in the last video, when I said I am worried that our T20 bowling attack does not have the capacity to restrict or to defend in key matches, we saw it there and then. And here's the joke, people. Let's criticize all we want to criticize. Here's what I want everyone to do. Name me 5 better bowlers in the region that we can use instead. This is what I sent into one of my group chats last night. I said, can anybody tell me 5 good T20 bowlers in the region? 5. Name me 5 people. Because really and truly, Chase shouldn't be in the side. But he's there as insurance. He shouldn't be there if we're being really and true about the situation. But name me 5 good bowlers that we've got in the region in a limited format of the game. That's why the Breakout League was created, because we do not have a conveyor belt of talent coming through. Judea Blades, really and truly, Judea Blades shouldn't be playing T20 cricket for the West Indies. Judea Blades is still at the A-team level in his development, but we've had to fast track him because we can't find any other left arm side on bowlers in the region. So Judea Blades has found himself in a position where he's playing senior men's international cricket well before he's ready. We've just had to throw him into the lion's den. Name me 5 good bowlers in the region in T20 cricket. 5 good bowlers that you could trust at the international level. I'm saying it again, and I said it in the last video, people. When we go to the World Cup in Asia next year, if we get out of our group, that is a good achievement. If we get out of our group. This isn't me doing any hot take. This isn't me doing a reaction video to a defeat and doing hyperbole. This is facts. If we get out of our first group in the World Cup next year, we've done well. We've done well, people. We just don't have a good enough side at the top level of the T20 international game on any kind of consistent basis, on anything approaching that. So anyways, after those 3 overs, 71 runs, and then Tim David just took over from there and ended the innings with a scintillating 102 not out from 37 balls, a strike rate of 276. Sometimes you just have to raise your hands, clap the opposition and say, yep, Andy lenged us down with Dre Russ's bat to add even more insult to injury. Like, it's farcical. Every West Indies game you watch, there's a new level of farce that you have to suck up and say, boy, we got it hard right now. That's before we even mention Machel Owen. Machel Owen scored 36 from 16 balls. But because Tim David absolutely marmalised the West Indian attack, we didn't even notice that Machel Owen was doing his thing as well. He scored 36 from 16 at a strike rate of 225, and Australia won the match with 4 overs to spare. Remember, they were chasing 215 to win, and they won it with 4 overs to spare. Rewind to the start of this video. What did I say at the beginning of the match? After I watched like the first 7 overs, I sent a message into the Caribbean Cricket Podcast Discord group and said, we need 300 runs to be safe at the bare minimum. It's the first thing I said in terms of totals. We need 300. What international team can you call good if you need 300 runs to think you're safe? We've got a long road ahead of us, people, because there's no easy fix. There's no quick fix. There's literally no quick fix. By now in this video, if you still haven't got in the comments below and tell me 5 good T20 bowlers in the region, then if you can't tell me 5, then you understand why I'm saying there's no quick fix. There is no quick fix. When we play Pakistan in Fort Lauderdale in a week or so, or whenever it all starts, I think it's next Thursday, and then the 2 games on the weekend, that to me is more our level. Pakistan just lost a T20 series to Bangladesh. Remember, Bangladesh beat us as well. Pakistan currently is our level. If they destroy us as well, we have serious, serious problems. And do you know what makes me sick? Some of you watching this, when CPL starts in mid-August into September, the same people who will get in these comments below and cuss this player, cuss that player, and say Sammy needs to go and this, that, and the third, you are the same people who will be jumping up and down in your nation, praising and clapping the countrymen when your franchise team goes on to potentially win CPL. And none of that, and I think Caribbean Cricket Podcast was the first platform to openly raise serious concerns about how CPL wasn't helping our cricket. And it's now been proved true because CPL and Cricket West Indies had to create the Breakout League as an acknowledgement that CPL isn't helping our cricket. So I'm not that guy. You aren't going to see me be that guy jumping up and down, celebrating if Trinidad, Guyana, Barbados, Jamaica, Antigua, St. Kitts. I couldn't care less what happens in CPL in terms of who wins because none of that is helping our cricket. If your wider focus in the cricket isn't answering the question as to how does this help West Indies, then what are we celebrating? If all you care about is national sentiment and bragging rights, then why are you watching West Indies? Just stick to your country and don't even focus on West Indies then. Because if none of this stuff is helping West Indies, why are we focusing on it? We've got a T20 side that currently, to all intents and purposes, looks like it's out of its depth. And none of us can name any players in the region that could come through. Don't you think that's a problem? Aren't you worried about that? So pardon me if I'm not if I'm not studying CPL. Because unless it's showing me some new players who can come and challenge anybody, what is the point of the tournament? That's why I was more focused on Breakout League, looking for just any sign of anyone under the age of 27 who might be able to do something that we can start to build up and develop. But also, before I end, let me address the elephant in the room. In the West Indies' last 20 completed T20 internationals, I'm not talking all T20 internationals because there's been a few rainouts, but there was 2 rainouts in Ireland. There was a rain out against England last year. So in our last 20 completed T20 internationals, we have won 5. If I'm Darren Sammy right now, I know Sammy will say he don't feel pressure, but if I'm Darren Sammy right now, I'm feeling under pressure and I'm scratching my head top because 5 out of 20 is unacceptable. And he's got to find answers. And if he can't find answers, he's got to be able to front up to the public and sell to the cricketing public across the region why we've got to trust the process. Because after every heavy defeat, it becomes harder and harder for people to trust the process. And that you can have people like me who will give nuanced takes and say, well, boy, name some better players and this is the best we got and so on and so forth. But you know how Caribbean culture works. People want win now, questions later. And if you ain't winning now, what's coming instead is cussing. Nobody wants to hear anything except victory. That is the curse of the Caribbean culture. So Sammy is under pressure and he's got to find a way to communicate to the public why we've just got to trust and breathe and let this play out. I'm not doing it because I'm not employed. I'm not employed by Cricket West Indies. I'm not in Sammy's coaching staff. It's not my job to do it. I can say that, boy, well, we just got to let this play out, but I'm not employed to run interference for anyone. I've got to acknowledge what the elephant in the room is. And the elephant in the room is he's under pressure. Right now, if we don't win the toss in the last 2 games in St. Kitts, you're pretty much guaranteeing we're going to lose those 2 as well. And then that means we will end the series against Australia 7-0. Let me just drink my orange juice. I'll be Machel St. Patrick here at one half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. As ever, like, share, subscribe to Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Big up all the people who've messaged me saying that they're coming to the games in Fort Lauderdale next week. Link me. Anyone who's currently in Jamaica, I should do some interviews. I really want to talk to. Anyways, let me not say anything because if I say anything, other channels just copy. So let me keep my mouth shut. But if you're in Jamaica and you think there's some content I should do, let me know. I'm around for quite some time just yet. And if you'd like to support the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, head to www.patreon.com/CaribCricket. Every little bit helps and counts. If you don't want to do that, you've got Super Chat in YouTube, Super Thanks in YouTube. Buy me a coffee. It's in the descriptor below. All of that. Make sure you always read the descriptors, people. Listen, we'll be back soon with some more content. When's the next game? Actually, let me just check. When's the next? I don't even know when the next game is, you know. When's our next game? Because I'm tired of watching this team, Let me see when our next one is. Is it? I hope. 1 second. Sorry, people. I'm about to sign out, but let me just check. The next game is Wait, what? The next game. So on the next. Wait, it's tonight. No, that can't be right. Wait. Is the next game it can't be today. No. Hold on, people. The next game can't be today. Oh, it can't be today. Please, Lord, don't inflict these men on me one more time. It can't be today. Oh my God. The next game's today, people. I didn't even realize. We got another one. They're gonna take us there. We got another game today. I thought we at least had a 1 day break. We got another game today. 4th T20. Okay, people, listen. When you're watching this, everyone rest up. Everyone rest up because we're getting taken there in another 6 hours. Oh, I didn't even know. Ah, boy. See you soon.
West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.